What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to check out the all new Dodge Charger. This one is the Daytona Scat Pack with the Stage 2 package. MSRP is $86,000 and it is finished off in the RedEye. We have pretty much every package available on this car. So let's go ahead and see what this electric muscle car has to offer. First and foremost, being fully electric, obviously there's no V8 under the hood of this car. You do have a small little trunk, which is a nice touch. Overall, this specific car is going to be pushing out 670 horsepower with 627 pound-feet of torque. It's all-wheel drive. It also weighs in around 5,800 pounds. Range is close to 240. Has a 100.5 kilowatt-hour battery, and it can do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Quarter mile time is also 11.5 seconds. Now, for the styling, something really cool is this front end. We have the R-Wing, which is a front aero pass-through, giving you a 30% decrease in front lift and a 3% decrease in drag. So as you can tell, it's kind of a front spoiler that cuts through the actual hood itself. So a really nice design. You have a sweet set of LED headlights. You can see them light up, and then you will get this all lighting up in white. We have the new logo up there as well. Forward-facing camera. I really like the design. This has the classic muscle car style, but in a modern appearance. Got a nice front splitter, all your sensors, safety sensor, some openings to it as well. And then really sharp lines going towards that windshield. You have somewhat of the power dome design that Dodge vehicles have been known for with the center of the hood, and I love how everything slopes downwards, and then you can see right through that front bumper. Really cool style overall. This also has a set of 20-inch wheels. They're 11-inch wide all around with a 305 wide tire. You have massive Brembo brakes with 16-inch rotors in all four corners as well, and they are absolutely stuffed in these wheels. You also have your Stage 2 Scat Pack logo on this front fender. Has a really good side profile, just like any Challenger or Charger would from the past. Really nice, clean lines. We have the carbon fiber package all around, so you're going to see that on the mirror caps. Integrated door handles as well, and then black trim throughout the windows. We have the sun and sound package, so you're going to get full panoramic roof up on top, and just a really cool style. Even the rear brakes are massive, stuffed in the back. You have some sharp lines cutting into the rear end of the car, a nice gloss black lip spoiler, and then once again the nice LED taillight with all the logos and everything in the center. You're going to also see parking sensors, the rear gloss black diffuser, and then you can see the Fratzonic system down here. This is the speaker system. So if I go ahead and remote start it, you're going to hear the sounds. In person, that sounds like thunder, and then you basically have a rumble to it as well, which is a pretty cool touch. And then you can shut all that off. Now you have a button right here. You can double tap to pop the trunk. You do also have a button sitting here. And then we have quite a lot of cargo space for the overall trunk. So with the seats in this configuration, you're looking at around 22.8 cubic feet of volume. And then when we fold these seats down, we're looking at 38.5. Underneath this, you do have some space for the charger. You have our closing button. Overall, it's a pretty big trunk. The ceiling is going to be a bit low in the back given how it dips. And then this privacy cover is pretty easy to operate. You can just pull that down, and by climb in a little bit, you're able to get this off. Now from here, you can grab these handles. It's a bit of a reach, so you kind of have to climb in the trunk, but nonetheless, we can get these down, and that opens up all the cargo space. So definitely a really large trunk for this car. You could use this for mountain bikes, maybe snowboards or something. Especially being all-wheel drive, you could probably take this car anywhere. We have our charge port on the driver's side, and then just grabbing the door handle, it'll unlock and we can check it out. So this has the leather, Alcantara, and carbon fiber all throughout it. You can easily get those seats out of the way. So with it folded flat, you can see just how much space we're going to get, and then we can easily close these seats back up. You are going to get the nice backs of these seats, armrests, speakers. There's heated seats, plugs, and vents. And when these seats are going in the back position, at 5'11", honestly, I sit here pretty good. We have good leg room overall. Headroom is nice with the panoramic roof. My head doesn't quite touch either. We have a full Alcantara headliner as well. Seats are at a good recline. The bases are a little bit low, but honestly for a car, this is actually really roomy. This can seat 3 people, and then the center one you can pop down for an armrest along with cup holders. So overall, this is actually a pretty nice back seat, and then very easily we can get that out of the way. There's also gonna be storage pockets behind those seats. Now, climbing out, getting a better look at everything, it's gonna automatically go back. For the door panel, you're gonna get the black leather with contrast stitching, more contrast stitching down here. And then this is a huge panel of carbon fiber. That looks really cool for the interior, and it's all ambient lit, and it wraps around the entire dashboard to the other door. You're gonna get memory seating, all of your controls, an electronic release lever, a manual one as well, and then tons of storage throughout it. You're gonna get power seats. We have the leather and Alcantara with the contrast stitching. I like the overall style with this cool Alcantara in the center. And then the single piece backs do look very sporty. You're gonna get a square shaped steering wheel as well with the leather as well as more contrast stitching. And then inside, foot on the brake, let's fire it up. So these sounds will all roar to life. We have our drive modes where you can configure the exhaust sound. So in sport mode, and then going into track mode, it's a little bit louder. And from here, you can adjust all of that. So if I go into electric drive, you have drive theme as well as stealth. So stealth now, it sounds like your typical electric car, which is nothing. So keeping it in stealth just for the interior. On the steering wheel, we have cruise control settings on the right. We have our power shot, which gives you 40 horsepower for 10 seconds. Those drive mode controls, then some controls for the center gauges. Now, if I tap this, you can configure it into a couple different designs, a more traditional view, a little bit more stealth design. You can also hide that away, have navigation pop up, and then going back to this screen as well. So with that, we'll go into the traditional style. You can configure this in the center. You can scroll up and down, see all sorts of different bits of information within the car. And then continuing left and right, we have more settings that are gonna pop up that you can easily adjust. So nice to see all sorts of things that you can change in the car and just give you a good view. We have paddle shifters as well. That's gonna be for the regen braking on the left side. You can see how that will change. Stock on the left side is for windshield wipers as well as turn signals. And then over here we have the trunk button, some headlight controls, interior lighting, Alcantara, one of your air vents. And then you can see more of that carbon fiber, the leather, the stitching. It says Daytona on the far right side. And then just going into that door panel. This is a really cool interior. So under vehicle, we have all sorts of things you can play with. You have camera settings. You can view all of the sensors that are going to pop up within the car. Under this one right here, you can see you can adjust the creeping, the power flow, driving history, a few more things. We have the dashboard where you're going to get the performance pages and see all sorts of things. G-force meter, gauges, and timers. We can exit back out of that. And then going under this one for the race options, you can view the drift and donut. You can adjust how you'd like to be able to do that. Launch control you can adjust, race prep as well. And then going back out of that, you can see drive modes we're able to configure within the car. You can adjust how everything is going to work. And then continuing back out of all of that. And then if we go under controls, we can see a few things you can change, and then back to settings. You can adjust all of that and then go back and forth between the stealth as well as the drive theme. We have physical buttons down here for climate, so very easily you can make any change on the screen. We have apps as well that's going to pop up like any typical Dodge vehicle. Of course, we have your phone integration, navigation, climate will pop up on the screen too. We have shortcuts over here as well for the heated and ventilated seating, screen on and off, home icon as well. You can swipe through and customize all of that. Going into reverse now, you're going to get a really nice backup camera. You see HD graphics, all sorts of different views you can configure, which is a great touch. And then we have our air vents, couple icons down here. We have our launch control. You can do that. And of course, everything gets aggressive. It gives you all the instructions on how to launch it. And then we have wireless charging, plugs, cup holders, more of this carbon fiber, contrast stitching, and then a nice amount of storage down below. Got a good sized glove box too. And then one last look at the interior. Really great place to be, honestly. Very nicely appointed. We got our thin mirror. We have garage door buttons, all the Alcantara. You have a sunglass holder, dome light controls, and then one last look at the massive roof. Honestly, this car drives way more nimble than I thought. I'll leave it in the quieter mode just so you can hear me talking, but this car actually handles pretty good so far. The steering is ultra direct. Given it's a 50-50 weight distribution, this thing weighs a lot. It doesn't really feel like that. Let's go ahead and, you know what, let's do a little launch. So we'll go into track mode, and then we'll come down to a standstill, and then you can press the launch button right here, and that will give us into the right setting. So with everything, and when you let off the throttle pedal, there's a little backfire that it plays too, which is a really neat touch. But this thing's pretty darn quick. It doesn't like, you know, it's not as fast as like a Tesla Model S Plaid, but this thing does move. And it certainly has a fun factor to it. And let's go ahead, just keep it in the stealth mode, still having all the power. It does drive nice. It's so refined and quiet when, of course, you turn things off, but it takes turns really well. It comes out of turns nicely. I mean, it stays planted, especially having 305s all around. That is quite wild to have that massive of a tire, but it makes sense given this thing weighs a lot. And then for the regenerative braking, of course, you can adjust that, kind of coasting or going more into an actual regen mode. So that is a nice touch where it kind of feels like your typical electric car, but also is fun to drive. It has a character to it. I don't think I've smiled this much in an electric car. It is quite fun. Turning circle with the all-wheel drive is really nice and tight. And then, of course, backup camera and everything all works really good. It's really easy to see around with all the sensors. And then the shifter is pretty neat. Kind of feels like an old school muscle car of some sorts. So I feel like they've really done a good job giving you like a retro car, but a modern car at the same time. And then you can feel the tires grabbing for traction just a little bit as well. So they've kind of dialed it into where it lets you have the fun factor. Of course, with the drift mode, you can do the donuts, you know, you can do drag racing stuff. You can actually drive this like muscle car owners are gonna want to drive it. The sounds are quite wild. The brakes work really well. This is fun to actually play around with and drive. It's actually got handling and performance to where it feels nice to just drive like that. But overall driving dynamics, you know, this is a cool car. I think the interior is laid out very well. It looks great in here. The cruise control works. It's comfortable. The seats are really well padded. It is ultra quiet when you turn things off to where you don't hear wind noise and road noise. I mean, you have massive tires and yet no sound whatsoever. It's just a really good cruiser car if you just want to drive it from the day to day. Visibility's all really good. A little bit of a bulky C-pillar back there, but overall, really can't complain. You can see around nicely. The mirrors all do a great job. There's a lot of room in here too. I can easily maneuver the seat back a little bit. And then this tech all works pretty good with the basics that you're gonna have. Normally I just have my CarPlay on, but then if you want to view, you know, a few of the vitals within the car, I like how they have kept all of the performance pages and things like that throughout this. So they've given you just a good overall screen with the basics. I like how you have climate control in easy reach. You don't have to think about that or anything like that. Lighting all looks good as well. The throttle response changes due to the different drive modes as well. So the car can go from a kind of normal electric car to a really quick electric car as well. And then with the sounds, you can just add the character if you'd like, you know, the extra soundtrack and things like that. But from a driver's point of view, honestly, this is pretty fun to cruise around with, and it seems like a really nice overall car to be in.